police officer, that's like a hug. And that's because I got out of the car and I talked to people. And believe me, that face-to-face contact made me a really good cop because everybody wanted to tell me their story. And I didn't always want to know it. I'm like, I don't know. Really? He's with her? Well, I don't need to know that. But I also got to know who was selling drugs, where things were happening, and so it made me really successful. We opened up, my partner and I, one of the first safety centers, and Chicago Franklin was at that time in the mid-90s. We were called Minneapolis. We had the influx of crack cocaine in the late 80s, early 90s. You know, it was every other stop you had was somebody with a gun and crack cocaine. And when I look back now at what the city of Minneapolis looked like and what it is today, it's vastly different. We still have our crime problems, but we're at 30 and 40-year lows in crime. And it's very... That's due in large part because, frankly, because we got women on the force. But as we figured out, exactly. You know why? Because we just roll up our sleeves and get this stuff done, right? It's not about ego. It's not about credit. It's about getting to work. But frankly, it was about some of that, not just in the female way, but it was about the fact that we needed community to build partnerships, and it was about crime prevention. It wasn't about being the biggest, fastest, tallest person. It was about creating relationships and partnerships and using intelligence to prevent crime. And that's what we do now. And so that's why we're worlds ahead, because we do things a whole different way. I don't even like the term anymore, law enforcement, because in my opinion, by the time we make an arrest, something's already broken, right? That's the end game. That's our last resort. That's not a fix. That's not a solution. We still need to make arrests, but that's the end. One of the things that I do think is actually kind of funny, though, as I'm working my way up through the department is women in general are just treated differently. So, laughter, of course we are. So, and I can't figure it out. And I see a couple of guys in the room, so I might pick on you. Because usually this is the opposite, where I'm in law enforcement training and there's 2 women and the rest are men. But I'll tell you, the benefit we have is there's no line in the women's restroom.
Yeah.
Tonight's a whole other ballgame. Long lines. But everything resorted to sex. Why is that? It's like you go arrest somebody and you're on your way to jail. They're like, "Hey, baby, you know what you need? A real man." I'm like, "You're right. When you see one, you let me know." I'm like, "Really? You're on your way to jail. How on God's earth are you thinking about sex with a cop who just arrested you?" It's just a whole other deal. And then of course there's the guys you work with. It's like, yeah, just because we work together, there's boundaries, people, boundaries. But it was fun. It was fun. That's something that just, I think we all experience, and you work your way through. But one of the things for me is I never try to be a man. That's not my goal. I'm a woman, and I like being a woman. I still want to look like a female when I'm in my uniform, and that's not an easy task in polyester. Big old boots in the winter, and you know, those uniforms are not flattering for women. And then you put on the vest. I mean, the girls at night, when I open that thing up, they can't wait to come out. I turn on the gun belt of the vest, and I drop like 20 pounds. And I forget, my daughter's in the room. The proudest thing I've done is right there. Lauren, stand up. Stand up. That's my beautiful daughter Lauren, who's in 10th grade, and I have to tell my cop, she's in 10th grade, she's not 21, she may look 21, and even still, don't touch her. But she has to give up a lot for her mom to be the police chief. And you know, it's a constant struggle. So people always ask me, can you have it all? And I say, absolutely, just never at the same time, right? Every time you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. And I love the fact that she wants to be here with me tonight because I love getting out in the community. I love what I do. I'm actually shocked that people want to hear from me. People want me to come and speak, and I'm happy to share my story. I'm happy to help women and others band together and be strong and be successful and don't give up on your dreams. But it takes me away. I have very little of my own personal time. I worked all weekend. I did it for the right reasons, and I'm always doing that balancing test. So it is a challenge. So thank you, Lauren, for being here. When I can bring her with, I love to do that because it is hard, because you do have to give things up. but it's a big part of who I am, and so I appreciate that I have the family support that allows me to do what I need to do. And it's tough when you're a woman because people aren't very forgiving about that. If men go off, and then part of my job is traveling, part of my job is working 24/7. I get called in the middle of the night. You know, we had unfortunately the officer that was killed yesterday in Mendota Heights. What you may or may not know now is a Minneapolis police officer was involved in his apprehension and the shooting of the suspect. That everything was coming out last night. So those are things that I was working on. Trying to be a mom, trying to cook dinner, trying to do everything, and I think you can be only so good at multitasking, frankly, because you still are not engaged in the moment, and we're really trying as a family to work on being engaged in the moment. Shutting down the cell phones, that's not an easy thing, I have two. And I start to panic if I don't have it on because I'm worried I'm missing something. But we really do need to check out and live in the moment a little bit because we're missing a lot of things. But it's definitely a balance. Me being in, there's a lot of surprises. People ask what's the most surprising thing for me, and it's that couple of things. Number one, somebody's always mad. No matter what I do, I always believe that if I work really hard, did the right things, that people would know that and they would understand. And I tell you, I go from, in the same incident, so I'll just use an example of, obviously it's been pretty public that I terminated 2 officers in the Green Bay incident. Never an easy decision. It's just always very difficult, but I need to live with my decision making. I know every detail of the case and I'm very comfortable with my decision. It was the right thing to do, and I'd do it again tomorrow. But I have this group of people, thank you very much, that'll clap, and then I have people over here who threaten me, and I have death threats and everything else because they think that, who am I, get over it, everybody says stuff, and move on. So it's always that balance. But for me, it's the balancing test, or are the right people angry? That's how I decide, right? I frankly, because if everybody, first of all, you're never going to please everybody. That's just a fact. You can never do it. But the balancing test for me, are those right people angry? And so if I have cops who did wrong and they're mad, I'm okay with that. If my daughter's mad because I took away her cell phone, nothing's going to happen, right, Lauren? Because she did something wrong, I'm okay with that. Although it's still painful for me to do, it's still hard because you have to deal with it, and it's so much easier, right, to not do anything. It's easier to just let time pass or not take action. But I think it's important to take action. It's important to set the tone. And to me, if we don't take care of things when they're small, they're going to get bigger. And I've told all my staff, if there's ever a point, I do believe in personal accountability, no doubt about it, and that's where our department is going. It's personal accountability. And I want people to act in good faith. And people will make mistakes because we're human beings. I have a police department filled with human beings. And we have to allow them to make those good faith mistakes. But when they make blatant, disrespectful mistakes, that's entirely different. But we also need to look back, because most people don't do it on a first time. Most people, you've seen it along the way, but nobody's done anything about it. And so I tell my staff in leadership roles, if somebody gets to the point where we have to terminate, we have failed them. And we need to look at ourselves. We all own a piece of that. And I tell them, if something comes across my desk, I'll make the decision. But you all own that. And we're going to hold each other accountable. And it's hard to do. It's work, right? You know, one problem employee is a lot of work, am I right? Oh my Lord. You know, you've got most of any organization, I forget, 5 people or 1,000 people like I have with sworn in civilian, one person can just cause you so much work, and it takes away from all the good people that just come to work and try to do a good job every day. I try to get the story out that Minneapolis police officers last year answered 432,000 calls for service. Yeah, thank you. You don't know that, do you? Over 1 million contacts with citizens, and you will hear about 2 or 3 that we didn't get right. And I say that you should hear about those, but you should also hear about those, 400,000 plus calls that we get right, the heroism that happens every day. That's how we recruit, that's how we get good police officers, and that's how we keep them doing those good things, because I believe you get what you reward and deserve what you tolerate, right? So we have to reward people for the good things they do. That's how we teach, it's just like our kids. It's reinforcing the good things, but if we're only giving attention to the bad people, they're like kids, they're going to start acting bad. So in my job, I'm a parent, I'm a babysitter, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach, I'm a mentor, I'm a lot of things. And I'm not necessarily good at all of them, I can tell you that. I'm good at some things over other things. But that's why I've surrounded myself with incredible staff. Absolutely incredible staff. I make mistakes every day, and I learn constantly. I'm probably my worst critic. I'm constantly beating myself up for something I've done, trying to find ways to get things better. But if it wasn't for my staff who make me look really good, and that's the key, is surrounding yourself with a great team and good people. I wanted first and foremost for them to share my values. Our core values are commitment, integrity, and transparency. Those things are incredibly important. We have other values, but those are the three I wanted for the department. And I picked my leadership team that shared those values. And then I made sure people had strengths that were opposite of mine. I'm big picture. I'm so far ahead of everybody. I'm like 5 years down the road, and they're like, "Wait, Chief, where are you going?" And for me, the challenge is trying to paint that picture for them, because they have no idea. But I have to create the picture so they can see it, and I truly believe if they could see what I could see and how good we could be, they'd be right behind me, and that's what I'm starting to see today. I've been the chief for almost 2 years, 20 months. And I paid attention for the last 27 years I've been on the department. I've listened to a lot of people. I held listening sessions for 96 hours before I became chief. I said, "You come and talk to me, and you tell me everything you think is right, everything you think is broken, and everything you think we should do." And then when I became chief, I reported out to those 1,000 people. We did 500 one day, 500 the next at the convention center. And I said, "This is what you said, and here's where we're going." And the number one thing they said was they wanted leadership. That means do the right things for the right reasons. Deliver the bad news. It's hard to deliver bad news. It's hard to tell people they're not being successful. But the number one thing they said was they feared nothing would change. And coming from a group of cops, that's a big deal. So the majority of the world doesn't like change. Neither do they. So they all said their fear was that things wouldn't change. And then when I started changing it, they're like, "Wait a minute. I didn't think you meant me." And I'm like, "Yeah, that means everybody's got to work more and better. And we're going to become better. And we're going to hold each other accountable." When I say culture of accountability, it means all of us, not just the other guy you're pointing to. So that was a struggle at first. Now people are starting to figure out. For the first time in the history of our department, we have actual performance measurements. We have goal setting. They're like, "Chief, we're not the private sector." I said, "Well, really? Because I have a $145 million budget. This tells me we have a very expensive company. And our business is people. And you better have a goal. And you better be trying to get somewhere and succeed, because we need to answer to people what we're doing with $145 million. So you telling me the private sector's not willing to do that?" And now people are like, "We love having goals. This is great." Because it gives them power. Everybody wants to feel, that's about change that people don't like. So actually, I normally have when I talk to them, I have this PowerPoint, and you guys will relate to this, ladies. It's actually a toilet. I'll give you the description. And it's chained the seat down. And I believe that people like change, they just don't like forced change. So we get the guys to leave the seat down, we're good. But so the chains on the toilet seat really reflect the fact that people don't want that forced change. So you bring them to the table and you allow them to help to create that change. So when I have something that I want to do, something I want to improve on, a policy I want to work on, I bring the people to the table that really touch it every day. I'm the chief, so I'm not out making arrests every day. So if I'm going to talk about a policy change when it comes to making arrests, or some type of protocol change, I'm going to bring those cops in. Which is why with the body cameras, that's exactly what we're doing right now. We're doing the pilot that starts in September, and I want to know what kind of camera fits best for you. Where do you want to use it? I mean, the option of having them, that's not. The chief decides we're having personal body cameras. That's what I do as chief. Here's where we're going. But how that gets done, the people that do it, that's how they have, I don't even like the term buy-in, because if it's their idea, we don't even need buy-in, because they believe in it because it's theirs. So it's planting seeds. I know where we want to go, and next thing you know, they're all in line, and they think it's their idea, and I'm like, "Oh, that's so great." I love this little husband, so tell them how great they are, great idea. I think I said that 2 years ago, but that's okay, we're good. So, as you can tell, I love my job. It is taxing, there's no doubt about it. I have happy moments and then down moments. It never seems to be a dull moment, I can tell you that. I have learned to embrace the media. You can't, I mean, you gotta do it, right? I'm trying to tell our own story. We're using social media to the nth degree. If you don't follow me on Facebook or Twitter, you should. at Chief Harteau, or my Facebook page is just my name, also Minneapolis Police Department. I'm constantly out in the community, and this way people can see what I'm doing and where I'm at. It's a good way for us to connect. It's a good way for us to tell those positive stories that the news media is not going to tell. I started recording my interviews in full and putting them online on our YouTube site so my cops could see everything I said, not just the one cut that people want to put on there when it says something, nothing to do with anything. And you know when I learned this? In 1990, I was on Cops. Yeah. I was on Cops, and people think because it's, you know, live, it's really accurate. No, it's not. So we were going to take this guy to detox. I don't know if any of you guys saw this, but they still replay it. I mean, today they'll replay it. I'm so embarrassed, you know, my big hair. I still have baby fat on my face, for God's sake. I feel like Puffy. So we were taking this guy to detox, but on the way down, he started assaulting the cops' camera crew in the back. So we had to pull over and get him out of the car. Well, he was a typical guy who was totally intoxicated. I'm coming, I'm coming. Well, he wasn't. So we're trying to pull him out. We couldn't get the other door open because the camera crew's cord was stuck in. So we finally got him out, and then we handcuffed him. Well, they didn't get it all on video, of course, because they were part of the fight in the back. So they wanted me to say I was just going to handcuff him for transport. And now all of a sudden we're going from detox to jail. I said, I won't do that. That's not what happened. I'm not going to do that. Just because you didn't get the footage of it, too bad. They dubbed somebody else's voice in there for me. So I'm actually watching this show, knowing that I had been there. You know, I was there. It was me. And then I hear someone, I'm going to cuff this guy for transport. I'm like, here, get this. I'm a porn star. I was mortified. I wanted to sue that company. And when I was nominated to be the chief and I was going through the confirmation process, they wanted to get my footage from cops. I said, absolutely not. They'd go to the show. I'm like, no, I don't want that. I hate that show. It's not real, people. It's not television. They try to make things sound however they want to make them sound. It's just wrong. So that's my little sidebar frustration. But we do need media for a lot of ways. Yesterday it was very helpful. We were able to put out the license plate information for the suspect and the officer involved. I was chief maybe 2 months, and we did an Amber Alert where a woman had kidnapped a young child. And the neighbor, we do it with text messages now too, so which is great. For all of us who are on our phones and young people, a young gal in the neighborhood got the text message on the Amber Alert and called us because she saw the car. And I'll tell you, I had just met the mother, and I said, in the back of my mind, I'm going, hope to God I'm right, but I said, don't you worry, we're going to bring your daughter back. And within half an hour, I brought that kid back. And that was a great. And I'm so grateful for the Amber Alert because of that, but it was one of those gratifying moments that you can't always get. But they come few and far between, but when they're there, it's really incredibly amazing. When you do the right thing, when you can make a good arrest, when you can prevent somebody from becoming a victim, when you can work with somebody, or just to have somebody come up. I am shocked that the notoriety I've been given, I feel like I have an enormous responsibility, but being the first female chief, all eyes are upon me for more than one reason. People come out of the woodwork to talk to me to say, hey, you're a great role model for my daughter. You know, they're just, the passion and the caring that people show for me is amazing, and I'm just humbled by it. When I was at the All-Star game, I had my picture taken at least 150 times. From people who are just like, I'm really sorry I live in St. Paul, but I love you. It's okay. You know? I'm sorry you live in St. Paul, but I'm really glad you love me. And then of course I get the guys, hey, maybe it's my birthday, and I'm not picture with you. Of course. And I know where you're going to put this, because I get, a little upset at night wondering where my pictures are throughout the city. But it's quite an honor, but I do not take the responsibility lightly, and it is an enormous job, but one I'm incredibly honored to have, and I continue to feel that way. My last couple of thoughts to all of you is leadership is not about a title or a position, it's a process of a series, basically, of decisions and actions that you take. And you can do that in any place. I did not wait to do what I do once I became chief. I've been doing this my entire career. The way I approach things, the way I respond to things is the same way. And I stay true to myself. And at the end of the day, It's me and my maker that I have to be okay with. So my question always I ask myself is, did I do the best I could today? And unfortunately, not every day is it yes, for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes I'm just tired, you know, or I get frustrated, just like everybody else, or you plan something and you think you're going to do something and it just doesn't turn out right. So I'm far from perfect, but my goal is to leave things better than when I came. And I hope I've done that, and I will continue to do that for as long as people will let me. And I would love to ask any questions that people would have in the time that I have left. I don't even know how much time I've been yapping them, probably about the time I have. I see my book over there. So in 1998, Holly Kegel and myself were partners on the street for about 7 years. And we got really frustrated as police officers going to calls, and it was after the fact. So all we could do is say, we're really sorry you're a victim of a crime, and we'd do a police report. So what we did is we wrote a book, a very basic book. We wanted it to be small. People could put it in their purse. Just the basic tips, being alert, sixth sense kind of stuff, but having a plan. I get asked all the time, should I carry mace, should I do this or that? And I say, anything you have, weapon-wise or whatever else, requires a plan. And I will tell you, if any of you carry the mace on your little keychain, I wish I would have invented that, because most of you have never tried it. It probably doesn't work. It can have water in it, you don't even know. You pay 10, 20 bucks for it. And it's the bottom of your purse with cobwebs on it. And the suspect's going to laugh at you because you're never going to dig it out in time. Hold on, please don't assault me or take my money. I got to get my mace out of my purse. There's a reason why we wear those gun belts. It's because our tools, what we need, are right here. That's why we wear those. So if you're going to carry or do anything, I suggest you prepare to use it. It's accessible. You get trained with it and know it can be used against you. That's my quick 4 tips. Question?
Oh, how did you gain your leadership skills? Is it all self-taught, or were you taking classes? Or?
A combination of things. I'm a lifelong learner, so I did a multitude of things. I went back to school. I became a cop for I wanted to be a singer when I was in college. So I actually was the lead singer in a band. That's how I paid my way through college. Where was American Idol when I was born? I would have made a total fool out of myself if you used this footage of my retirement party. I'd have never made it on American Idol, but I would have had fun trying. So I want to be Pat Benatar. Yeah, those of you who remember back, yeah! The Promises in the Dark Room are my favorite songs, although I hate with your best shots that people remember, but you know, I have my own favorites. And I'm not going to sing right now, but you know what? Someday at the bar we'll do karaoke. So I actually went back to school and got my bachelor's degree and my master's degree from St. Mary's. And I'm one of these people where I went to buy a house, I became a realtor. I mean, I'm just weird that way. So that's what I do. So yes, I was a realtor while being a cop. Everybody calls me the beekeeper because I do just about everything. But do we have beekeepers out here? Well, great. I'm all lined up for you. I always do the inside-out thing. So if people aren't successful, I look to myself. If I don't know something, I learn it. I read everything I can get my hands on. I've read every type of leadership book there is, and what I do is I don't read anything that has to do with law enforcement. I want an outside perspective. So how you do that is you read things that are something outside your purview. You know why? Because we all think the same. So when I went to school, I actually went to St. Mary's University, and then I went to St. Thomas for my master's degree. But I left St. Thomas, not because I didn't like the school, because my cohort was filled with 75% Minneapolis cops. And I said, you know what, I feel like I'm just not getting anything. I'm not getting this diverse perspective, so I left and went back to St. Mary's and helped them create the program. I'm an assistant professor there today, in my spare time, of which I have none. But I teach 2 classes. I teach a leadership class, and I teach demographical influences in policing. Because I will tell you, the demographics change, and how we deal with people. It's all about people. It's critically important, and I love being able to have those conversations with cops, people who want to be cops and existing cops, just to talk about how to relate to people and your experiences. So I'm a lifelong learner, and that's how I got to where I am. I plagiarize, basically. I steal from everybody. I think everybody has, and you don't have to have rank. You're not going to learn from a CEO. I give so much attention to the janitor. I went and did a keynote at Be the Match. Does anybody work there? I'll tell you, the person that I'd like to give a lot of credit to is Julie, who's at the front desk. That gal knows everything about everything. Don't overlook people who have those kind of jobs. Everybody looks to the CEO, and I got news for you. We're not the smartest people. I'm not the smartest person in the police department. Now you're surprised. But I'm not. That's not where smarts necessarily comes from. I have the skill set, and I got my way to the chiefs. I don't know how. I still don't know how I got to where I am. I sit around my office and go, how did I get here? But there are people, don't overlook them. And there are so many people who are like, I say the same things today that I have said for the last 15 or 20 years, and nobody listened to me because I didn't have the title to go with it. And I'm just surprised by that. I'm like, really? Because I said that then, and you guys were like, yeah, whatever. But now I'm the chief and it has value. There's something wrong with our thinking that way. So I never dismiss people. I will say hi to the janitor. I'll say hi to the maid. I'll tip the maid. You know why? Because they work harder than most people. I value what they do. Everybody has value. Don't overlook anybody. Thank you for the question.